I've done it again. I've signed up for a webinar, a free webinar. And in order to sign up to these webinars, you always have to give them an email. Now, I know what these webinars are all about. They are sales pitches. They give you something for free. And then at the end, the kicker is you got to sign up for our paid information. You got to sign up. That's what the whole free webinar is about, to get you to get the sales pitch for free. And then buy at the end. Why did I sign up for another one of these things? I don't know. I mean, I already know what they're about. And do they work? In the past, they have worked. They have got me to fork over money. But as far as anything that I've learned, has it been useful for me? Useful how? Use different courses that I've taken. I mean, somebody might say, money. Did you make money from these courses? I took a course at college in computers. Did it make me money? It got me a job working for a computer software company. Strangely, the computer course that I took was in computer networking. And the computer job that I got had very little to do with computer networking. It was computer software. Could I have got this job without this expensive college course? Yes. Yes, I could have. I could have possibly. There was a course at the time called A+, which was a lot to do with hardware of computers. If I'd have taken that course, I probably could have got this same job. Without a computer course, could I have got the job? If I was really handy do-it-yourselfer on computers, and maybe if I had read some computer books out of the library, I think so. As it was, the college course that I took was a very high tuition cost, way higher than average. Why was that? Well, they did a great marketing job of saying that this course that I took is in great demand and it's not being subsidized by the governmental authorities like other courses, so it's going to be expensive. And I was under the impression in those days that computer courses were a really good way to get a good job. So I needed the course. And I paid a lot for the course. And, in 2020 hindsight, the job that I got in the computer industry wasn't right out of the course at all. So the college lied about the demand for computer people, completely lied, blatant lies. And the job that I got in the computer software industry was barely over minimum wage. So the extra expense that I paid for this college course versus my reward, no. Previous to this college course, I took 2 degrees at university level. The first was in science. Did I get a job for my science job? No. I spent 3 years at university before I decided that I really didn't like the science program. But I think it was probably after maybe the first week. The first week of the first year of this university course that I had paid for. I was staying in a foreign city to attend. The first week was enough for me at age 19 to come to the conclusion that I don't like this course. And I ended up sticking it out for 3 years. You could have gone on for a 4-year program, but I could get my degree in 3 years, and I wanted the degree. So I stuck it out for 3 years, got my degree, and there was no job. No job for this degree. And then there was no job. So what else could I do? I had a summer job working as a laborer in a industrial setting, and I was making an industrial wage, which was a really good wage at the time. Really, really good money. And so it wasn't difficult to earn enough during my summer job to pay for 8 months of schooling and room and board, etc. I mean, I made an incredible amount of money, this industrial job. So I did. And I went back to university again, and I went through a lot of hoops. I had to, it was a professional program, so I had to pay to take these professional testing to see if I was qualified, and then I had to apply to a number of universities. And so I applied to law schools and MBA schools. And I ended up going to MBA school, which is Master of Business Administration school. And when I was going in my first degree in science, the original thought was I'm wanting to go and become a medical doctor. So that was because my parents thought it was a good idea. Did I think it was a good idea? I didn't know. I didn't know. I was a kid. I didn't know. So I followed my parents' advice, and that's what I did. Somebody else I know who was at the same school, the same university was where I was taking science, was taking a different course. They were taking a course called Arts and Science. It wasn't as hard. The science course for me was difficult. The mathematics were most difficult, and the chemistry was very difficult. The physics was not terribly difficult, but not easy. And the biology was easy for me, most of it. The chemistry was difficult because we didn't have a textbook that was a printed textbook. It was going to be a textbook created by the professors who were teaching us chemistry, one of the professors. And it was, it hadn't been submitted to the publisher, so it was done in soft copy on a photocopier. All the students had to buy it. The textbook I found difficult to read, difficult to get the concepts from. And the lectures for chemistry were so shitty. I can't tell you how shitty they were, other than saying they were super shitty. I would go in and sit through a lecture, and at the end of 90 minutes, I would just shake my head. Why did I go to that lecture? I learned nothing. There were two full professors. They weren't, I went to school in Canada. They were from Great Britain. Clearly, they were not good enough to teach in Great Britain, so they had to come to Canada because they were the shittiest professors. They could not teach. They couldn't speak. They were so incompetent. So between incompetent professors and this photocopied textbook, I really couldn't understand. In those days, that course I took in 1987, there was no internet. So it wasn't like I could log into the Khan Academy. I don't know if you heard of Khan Academy, but they're reputed to be fantastic online learning. We didn't have that. I was 19 years of age and incredibly naive. In other words, I was just a kid. I didn't know nothing. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have someone after a month of being at the university, or even in the first week of being at the university, come and take me by the hand and say, come to my office and we're going to talk about your first week here at the university. At which point I would have said to them, well, I'm really not doing very well in these courses that have been assigned to me. And then a good counselor would have said, okay, well, we have to change you out of this program and put you into something else. The university did have this period at the beginning of courses called drop and add, where you could drop a course and add it. And I didn't hear it from the university. I heard it from other students. I didn't do drop and add because my background was don't quit. Maybe it's tough, but just hang in there. Don't quit. And I was naive. I didn't know, and that's what I did. I just stuck it out. The math class, it was a calculus class. I had to drop it later because there's no way I could pass it. So it wasn't drop and add. It was just drop and add was at the beginning, where you could add another course. And then you had a certain amount of further time when you could drop the course without failing it. You didn't want to get a fail on your transcript. so it would just be incompleted or something, or whatever it was at the time. So I knew I couldn't pass it, so I just dropped the course. And once I did that, then it pretty much closed the ability for me to get a 4-year science degree, because they had calculus for dummies that I could take the next year, and it was enough to get me a 3-year degree. So the second year I took the calculus for dummies, and we had a fantastic professor. It was, instead of being a huge amphitheater full of 250 students, it was about 25 students and a professor who wouldn't move on until everyone got. They had to get it. They had to fully understand what he was talking about. He went over it and over it and over it and over again, very slowly. He was an excellent teacher. I passed that course. In the chemistry amphitheater, which was also about 250 people, well, there was 250 people in this amphitheater, and that was just one section for the university. So out of all the first year university students, there might have been, let's say, 6. So let's say 1,500 students taking science chemistry. They were people who were going to go into physics, chemistry, biology, computer science, mathematics, maybe engineering. They all took the same class. But this should have been my tip-off to get the hell out of the course. I think it was maybe the very first class when those 2 British professors, they said to the class, 250 of us in the amphitheater, they said, "How many of you here want to become medical doctors?" Easily 85% of the people in that class put up their hand. So clearly, because they didn't accept 1,200 students into the medical school at that university, clearly it was going to be very competitive to get into that medical course. I should have bailed out at that time. But I didn't know. I was 19 years of age, and I didn't know anything about it. And there was no internet. There was nowhere to look for information as there is today. There was no counseling service that, said after a week of doing this, come in and tell us how you feel. Nothing. So, the other person that I was telling you earlier about, who wasn't taking the science class, who was taking the arts and science, which was dabbling a little bit in some science and dabbling a bit in some arts and political science and sociology. This person got really good marks, and they applied to the medical school, and they got in. Me, who did what I was told, take, the heavy science course, no, it wasn't going to work for me. So what does it prove to you? Well, let's move along. So after I finished the first 3-year degree, and there was no job for a 3-year person, I went back into Masters of Business Administration. And after I got that degree, was there a job for me? Not really. I was led to believe by one of our professors He kept saying, "You're going to be a rich MBA." He was a Asian guy. Rich MBA. I was still naive. But when I graduated from that school, and I applied to all kinds of corporations, no, 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 no. Most of them didn't even respond to. In those days, you would send a letter, an application letter, to the human resources department. Most of the time, I never even got a response. Sometimes they did, but it was basically no, 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 not interested in you. Was it the school had a bad reputation? Was it the school? I think pretty much what it was is that in the Masters of Business Administration course that they make out to be guarantees you a great job. It's a bullshit course. It's a bunch of lies. The university lies to you, especially in those days, because we didn't have any internet to go and look things up and try and get the lowdown on what it's all about. It was complete lies. The stuff that they taught was not wanted by business at all. Sometime later, I happened upon a college listing of the courses and course books that they were using for introduction to business at college level. You would get a diploma. And I was shocked because the courses and the textbooks that the college course in business was using were exactly the same as this master's in business administration at the university level. Exactly the same. And, to get into the Masters of Business Administration course, you had to take this GMAT course that you had to pay extra for. It was like going through all these hoops. The degree is bogus. It's worthless. And I wasted another couple more years getting it. In the end, I eventually landed a sales rep job where I didn't use any of the science in my first degree, and I didn't use anything from my business course. Nothing. So, post-secondary education at the college and university level for getting a job is worthless. And if people tell you you need it, they're lying to you, and you should punch them in the face really hard and then kick them in the balls if they're a man. Kick them in the ass if they're a woman. There should be class action lawsuits against universities and colleges because of the amount of lies that go on, and also against the governments because I took another college course to become a personal support worker, and I had to pay money. I had to have that in order to apply. Lo and behold, during this quarantine period where there's not enough personal support workers to work in nursing homes, the government has, as an emergency measure, relaxed requirements for people to work in nursing homes doing the work of personal support workers. In other words, a certificate that you had to have before, you don't have to have it anymore. You can just walk in off the street on the job training. So, once again, government regulations that say you have to have these requirements, these educational requirements, are bogus and bullshit. So, what do I like about universities. Well, when I was taking my science degree, I did take some elective courses, and I enjoyed my elective courses that weren't in science mostly more than the science courses. There were bits and pieces of the science stuff that I did like. So, I mean, if you have interests, but you're not looking to get a job when you're done, and you just want to study what you're interested in, not what your parents say you should be doing, but what you have pure interests in, you might look at the MIT. MIT has a lot of courses available for free. You don't get a degree, but you can get them for free on the internet. Why pay more? Or you could look at the Khan Academy. Maybe there's some stuff there. The whole thing is hard for me to explain because when I look at our education systems, I give them a flunk, F for flunk. They are a massive failure.